where does the money that comes from the sale of the RECs go? Does it go to SAC Energy, or does it go to Bernie Pelletier Biofuel Consumer, or how does the money flow? What's the mechanism?
In Massachusetts, it goes directly to the fuel oil dealers.
Would that, so in this case, would that be SAC Energy, or would that
No,
be?
my clients. So I participate pretty heavy in the Massachusetts program. You know, we just took a big private prep school that had a huge, you know, central boiler plant with underground pipes to hit all the buildings. And so they're burning 100% biodiesel up there, and they collect the payments.
That is great. Well, I'll give you a call tomorrow. We can follow up on that, okay?
Yeah, give me a call. I'm pretty heavily involved in that program, so I can tell you, you know, talk to anything about you with it.
Hello, Catherine.
Hi.
Hi, Catherine.
Oh,
I don't know what the WebEx Council is. Does any?
pay attention. Stuff is going in circles back.
Oh, that's me for some
That's
reason.
you. Okay. Oh, here comes.
I don't know.
Is it because you're the host?
I am not the host. Megan is the host. But I must be logged in. Huh. That's weird. I remember I used the council's WebEx once. It must still like have me logged in as that.
That's
I don't
great.
know how to change that. Well, I hope they don't need it for something else. Or maybe it's just.
Hey, Catherine, are you able to share screen? I'm surprised I can, but.
I can share,
Great. Okay, good.
I think. Yeah. You can't?
No, I can. So I just wanted to see if I was what exactly was what my powers were and were not.
Yeah, I'm just worried that I'm taking something away from someone. Or can I just rename myself?
I think you could probably, did it ask you to put your name and your email address in when you clicked in? When
No.
you entered?
No.
So it's just assuming that you were still that same person. Bernie, I do have a share button too.
Good. That's good. So
But I'm not going to share anything with you.
well, I'm hoping Catherine will do the sharing, but if need be, I can share. Or Catherine, if you're talking, I can share and you can talk. However, whichever makes sense.
What are we sharing you want me to share the agenda?
I thought the agenda would be good, but let's wait till people get here. Couple more minutes, maybe.
Let me make sure I have the agenda up. Yeah, I've got it on my screen. Yeah, this is, I'll have to see what's going on with that.
Let's see. Okay, James is having trouble. He'll figure it out. Let's give James one more minute and then we'll start up. It's 7:05. How's that? Hey, Max, before we get started, I just want to say, I think the changes that you, on top of the work that Catherine did, really just sort of were like the cherry on top of the sundae there. So thank you for that. That was kind of great.
You're welcome. Glad you enjoyed it.
I did indeed. I happen to like maraschino cherries, so maybe my demise. I don't know.
You should try Luxardo.
Those are the liquor-soaked cherries.
No, they're just soaked a little bit longer and have a better flavor.
Well, I'm not going to argue against that. Oh, people are joining. That's great. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. This is Bernie Pelletier. I think we're convening this meeting under the rules of COVID. I would ask that people identify themselves as they speak so that we can properly record this. This meeting is being recorded, I think. Or we should all behave as though it is being recorded. So I would like to call the meeting to order. And the first order of business would be to have a roll call of the commissioners and then the public that's on the line. How about Commissioner Campanella? You want to start? Are you here?
I see him. Well, James Capella, alternative commissioner here.
Hey, James Capella. There you are. Mr. Duboisson, you here?
Sure, we'll hear.
WebEx Council, better known as Catherine Deviney, are you here? You are on mute if you are here.
Here, sorry.
Mr. Nelson, without any video, are you here?
I think I should have video, and I am here.
Well, you may be sitting in a dark basement. That's another one.
I can see myself fine. I mean, the little picture that's of me on the screen, I can see myself, so I'm not really sure.
Okay, well, you are invisible to us, at least to me.
Well, I'll work on that.
And Joe Campanella, you're here?
And, I can't see Chris either. I can see his name, but I can't see his face.
Okay. But he is here. I recognize the voice. Oh, now this is interesting. Christine Feely can see Chris Nelson.
I can only see 5 people at once, so maybe that's part of the issue.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know if there's a
interesting.
gallery view with this or not. I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with this platform.
No, we see a,
I see a black screen.
yeah, we see a box for you, and it's black.
I see black too.
Well, it could be that Christine Feely, by virtue of her superior moral character, is able to see things that we cannot. So, and Christine Feely, you are here. Also of superior moral character, evidently, is Henry Milward. You are here. Hello, welcome, Henry.
Yes, I'm here.
And where's Stephen Sack? There he is. Stephen, you are here.
I'm here.
Stephen Sack of Sack Energy. And Jennifer Evans of West Hartford Community TV is here, at least recording us. And I think Megan Lenz is here at least as the host, allowing us to have this web session. I don't think she's physically watching us. So welcome everybody, and as people join as they might, we can announce them. Commissioners, did you get a chance to look at the minutes that Catherine sent around?
I did.
Can we make a motion to approve those?
Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Great.
Aye.
709, those are approved. Thank you for putting them up, Catherine. Catherine, if you're able, do you want to flash up the agenda? Okay. Okay, so we've gone through sort of the opening. Want to spend some time on what we're calling old business. I think I want to say we've been working on this particular piece of old business for about 3 years. I'm willing to be corrected on that point, but it's more than 1 year. It might only be 2, but I think it's 3. We have a wonderful draft that Catherine has worked up and that Max has added some finishing touches to. And Catherine, do you think it's possible to share that? We're not going to go through it in a great deal of depth, but I think it's available to anybody that wants. And while we're putting it up, just to let the commissioners and everyone know, we've sent it to Matt Hart, Todd Dumay, and Ben Winograd in West Hartford Town Government. Matt, because he wants to see it, so Todd, because he is the author of the POCD, the Plan of Conservation and Development, which references this plan, and Ben Winograd, because he is, I forget his exact role, but it is the part of the town council that receives new business. And so I'm hoping that we as a commission can approve this tonight, subject to approval of Matt Hart. We have also reached out to 3 West Hartford commissions: the Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission, the Conservation and Environment Commission, and the Human Rights Commission. I think it's clear why the first 2 were referenced. Part of what we've done in this plan, and I mean to explain why we sent it to Human Rights, is it's become clear in 2020 what happens to people when they don't have energy, when they are shut off or cut off from water and energy. And there is a human rights aspect to this. And we think, and anybody who's spent some time with any of the drafts have seen what we've put in there, trying to address those issues, to make it clear that we want people in West Hartford to have access to energy in a way that they can afford. So we've reached out to those 3 commissions, and just before this meeting I sent it off to Brenda Watson and Gannon Long, who Brenda is the executive director of Operation Fuel and Gannon is her second in command. So we're seeking that level of external output in addition to all the output that, I should say input, that we've received. Catherine, I don't know, can you quickly recap sort of the outreach we've done to date? I mean, it's quite a bit, but.
Right. I think you summarized it pretty well. I mean, it's the June version of this plan has been posted on our website for a while, and some comments have been coming in, which were incorporated into this in various forms. We went through some of them together. Others, Bernie and I discussed, and you know, and the draft has shifted. So I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at this new version. But I mean, I think you summarized it pretty well. Anytime we got feedback on the draft, we responded to that feedback and then asked them to let anyone else know that it was out there, and if anyone in their network had comments, to please send them in as well.
Hey, Catherine and Bernie, were there any interesting, comments or feedback from some of these other individuals? Something you want to share? Or
I would say, some of the, I would say there are two main themes. One was just general support for the plan, and the idea of 100% clean energy by 2050. And that came from various groups as well as individuals. And then we had several comments, it was interesting, from renters' perspectives. So in fact, the residential section, I don't know whether anyone had a chance to look at that. The residential section was changed to reflect some of the comments around renters and ability to participate in programs. And some of those changes were already taking shape in light of some of the recent discussion that's been going on with the GC3 Council. So some of that we had already folded into the plan before some of those comments came in.
And in addition to that, well, not really in addition to, but we've had outreach via the Sierra Club. They led a library session that we might have gotten, I don't know, 20 people, something like that, to see it. Stephen Sack, who's on the call, has had us broaden the definition of what we call clean energy. So we've taken that input. As Catherine said, we've sort of looked over at what the GC3 is doing as best we can and brought that to bear on this plan. So I just want to say that what you see in front of you, it isn't just coming out of our perspective. Right? We've tried to take as much input from others as is possible. I think this page itself, Catherine, I think sort of came a piece of stylistic input that was, can you just sort of summarize on a single page some takeaways from the plan? And so that's what this page is trying to do. And if you haven't seen it recently, we are focusing on the next year in front of us. And you'll notice we go to 2022 just because we think in the time of COVID, we are not able to move too quickly. So we're thinking, let's talk in terms of 2022 and then beyond that, longer term goals for each of our sections.
We do actually have the numbers coming for this chart. So
Are you guys sharing the slides? All I'm seeing is the agenda. Is it just me that it's frozen on?
I'm just seeing the agenda also.
Oh, you are? Oh, I'm sharing the.
Well, I have it open, but
You know what I just did is I have it open too, so I'm looking.
Let me see. I thought I was sharing the plan. Let me see what I can do. It says I am sharing. Stop sharing. Let's stop for a second.
Hey, there's Chris Nelson. All right.
hey,
Yeah. Let's share again, and we'll share this now. What do you guys see now?
Now we see
Slides.
Slides. Sorry about that. I'm glad someone said something. I've been flipping through the plan. So.
You want to go to that slide right there.
Which one? You tell me where to go, Bernie.
One more. Click one more. There you are. Beautiful, beautiful. I'll just make an observation. Do you know that Christmas Carol? Do you see what I see? What I've noticed on all of these platforms, the answer is often no. I don't see what you see. So that's an important thing. Yeah, so I'm sorry, this is a summary slide that's trying to take our entire plan and boil it down quickly into what we're going to do 2022, between now and 2022 and beyond that. I don't know if there's anything else, but the next thing I would point us to is that we didn't previously have a definition of what we meant by clean energy. In fact, I think at various times we said clean energy or clean and renewable energy. And we came upon this definition thanks to Max and Catherine. Since we're the Clean Energy Commission, we figured that was the length of our leash in terms of defining our charter. So we said, okay, what does clean energy mean to West Hartford? For the purpose of this plan and the commission, clean energy is defined as generation of energy for consumption within West Hartford. So that's us, that's our 63,000 people and 1,000 businesses, that causes zero emissions of greenhouse gases and low or zero emissions of criterion pollutants. In general, clean energy is related to generation without the use of fossil fuels, but we recognize that there are a variety of cleaner energy sources, and that might be natural gas fuel cells, it might be nuclear, it could be anaerobic digestion, liquid biofuels, which warrant consideration on a case-by-case basis. Elsewhere in this document, we talk about sort of applying these criterion on a life cycle basis, which is something I know that Steve Sack has argued for in other forums. And it's worth pointing, coming back to this paragraph that's in front of us, that we consider that reduction in net energy is the cleanest because they don't require any energy generation. So the cleanest thing we can do is lower the amount of energy that we consume. We're not going to go through the whole plan this evening, but Catherine's added a lot of credits. We have endnotes. We have resources at the end of this deck. And Catherine, if you could go to slide 23, that's, we're starting to talk, slide 23 is where we start to talk about what we, the commissioners and the people who work with the commission are planning to do. So I just want to kind of review that a little bit. Here we go. There we are. That's the multicolored guy right there. So this list, again, you'll see that we've got 2021 going out to 2022 and then beyond. So it's sort of the same rubric that we had with the introductory slide. When you see municipal, that's mostly going to be Catherine with our support. So she's the if I call you the lead sled dog, that's a term of it's not a derogatory term. I think you're the leader of all, anything that has municipal in front of it, but we will be pushing right behind you. On the general stuff, that's businesses and that's residents. And there I'm hoping that tonight we can introduce the idea, but I hope on the meeting in December, we can, amongst all the commissioners and anybody who plans to keep working with us, that we can adopt some of these. Each commissioner can sort of take one or two of these and sort of lead on those, so that as we go forward, we can make progress and sort of report in to each other. So I'll just quickly go down the list of the 2021 and 2022. We'd like to get this through us the commission through whatever input that Matt Hart and others are going to bring to bear on this, and through to the town council. So just as in 2009, the town council adopted our current energy plan, we are looking for them to adopt this. So that's evidently not an easy task to do, but I think it's important. Also, and this, anybody that can remember back to what our first meeting of 2020, before COVID, we had already started to talk about trying to engage more with the town council, public works and facilities, giving them an idea and reports on what we're up to. So we're going to get that going again. When you look at this report and you look at the tools that we as a commission have to deal with our residents and our businesses, we do not have the ability to inflict a mandate on anybody. I don't even think any of us want to have that ability. What we do have the ability to do is do education, outreach, lead by example, etc. So we are more preachers than dictators in this regard. I had the pleasure of watching a Republican first selectman in Brantford talk about his clean energy goals for 2020. And he went out of his way, I'd say at least 3 times, to say this is not about a mandate. This is about giving people the tools to make up their mind. So but in order to do that, we need an effective network. We need an effective way to reach our community. And Chris Nelson has been leading, for example, Sustainable CT, which is a website, which is a group and a web page, Facebook page, I should say. So we want to build on that work and see if we can't find a way to reach our community on these energy issues. Catherine, you have been the leader on Sustainable CT, I'd say way beyond what one would think that you should be, from just given the titles that you have as an employee of West Hartford. I think it was your idea that we should broaden the base on which we approach Sustainable CT.
Yes, I mean, but Sustainable Connecticut is the municipal certification program, slightly different from the Sustainable West Hartford Facebook page, which was just kind of a communication network for people interested in local sustainability things. As far as the certification program goes, I'm the town coordinator. So for the last round of certification, I coordinated with different department directors to submit West Hartford's application, because obviously the program covers more than just energy. It's about housing and zoning and transportation and economic development and all kinds of different things. But our goal for our certification is good for 3 years. We will have to recertify, hopefully at the silver level this time. This time round, I think there should be more community participation in that certification process. Gathering information and even completing actions. It is a community town program, not just what the town is doing.
Thank you, Catherine. And you know what? I apologize. What I did is I mixed up line 4, which is Sustainable West Hartford, and line 12, which is community involvement in Sustainable CT. So that was, but you covered both, and you covered up for my mistake as well. So thank you. Number 5, to some extent, we have revamped the town's clean energy website. I don't feel that we are done yet. So that just sits there as something to do. Something I feel strongly about, and I think I speak for all of us, is is getting some younger people involved with the Clean Energy Commission. I know that Avon does this, and I believe some other towns as well. Ironically enough, I think in this age of Zoom and whatever we're on, WebEx, I think it's actually more possible than when they have to show up physically and be driven by parents. I'm hoping we can do that. Conduct a heat pump education campaign. That's something that I would like to do. Number 8, work with social services to design and implement an energy outreach campaign focused on equity. It wasn't just us, and it wasn't just COVID. It was the combination of COVID, which was people were losing their jobs. It was the PURA, the Public Utility Regulatory Authority, stepping in and shutting off, no pun intended, the ability of utilities to shut people off. So in other words, keeping the power on. It was some of the outreach that PURA had the utilities do that sort of opened our eyes to the need for every resident in West Hartford to have access to power. And I think that's a good way for us to reach people as well. We have been working all along with the Sierra Club Ready for 100 campaign. I'm hopeful that in 2021, if we adopt this plan, that might get us to be the first town in Connecticut to be part of the Sierra Club Ready for 100 campaign. So that's a goal. I think it was 2 years ago that we had a pretty wonderful event with Kingswood Oxford on electric vehicles. The year before that, I think we had a pretty great event in our town hall parking lot. So we hope to have another one of those. Number 11 gets at, we are the Clean Energy Commission. We can go so far with our charter before we start to get into other people's turf. I think as we go forward, if we're going to meet the goals, our climate goal, I should say our energy goals, clean energy goals, we're going to need a way to think about public transportation. And I'm thinking of the Pedestrian and Bicycle Commission. I'm hopeful that they will be part of that. There's only really 8 commissioners and alternates. So we need to have more community involvement than Sustainable CT. So we need to have more involvement of our community. And then this is the same thing that Catherine spoke to, that Sustainable CT, we want to broaden the number of people in West Hartford that sort of are working on that. Catherine, you've talked about number 13, and you sort of as we think about what West Hartford needs, you want to just sort of give your thoughts on number 13?
Well, I think it says we need to explore whether there's a desire to create a broader sustainability plan. We do say in the beginning of this document that this is an energy plan. And Max created a nice slide to kind of say what the focus of this plan is and what it is not. So I hope you guys got a chance to look at that. So everything in this plan could easily be folded into a broader plan, but we didn't have all the pieces to put together a climate action plan or a climate resiliency plan. Now, Matt Hart has asked in the past whether we're going to do that kind of thing. And I think we should be open to that. That's fine. But if that's something the town manager and the town council are interested in, then I think they need to direct more commissions and more departments to work on that. So I think we can initiate But I think that if that's a request that they have, then it has to come from the top down.
Yeah, well said.
That's my feeling. I think it's bigger than just what we can do as an energy commission and what I can do as an energy specialist who really focuses on municipal buildings and municipal operations.
And I certainly agree with you for the practical reason that this was a lot of work for us to put together. But I think even beyond that practicality, we need to bring in more people. This is a big issue. Our intent is to hopefully update this, make this be a living document. And so we just are throwing a stake in the ground that 2022 will update this. And obviously this slide, just by virtue of the numbers at the top, and when it says beyond 2022, well, when it gets to 2022, we better say what's beyond. So hopefully we'll have that be 2022 and 2023 on one side, and then beyond 2023 or something like that. And Catherine, I'm glad you mentioned the slide that Matt put in, what the plan is and what the plan is not. It might be worth, if we could, flashing that one up as well. There you go. So we don't have to go through this in detail, but it's certainly a successor to the 2009 plan. It broadens it from the 5% of energy, which is the sort of the municipal sector, and encompasses the entire town. And as now written, we are not meant to be a comprehensive sustainability, climate action, or resiliency plan. We think we need those things. We're not a technical reference document. Even though we're pretty close to a greenhouse gas inventory, this isn't it. We think that really resides within the conservation and the environment, and we can work with them. And the other area which we've constantly gone back and forth on, I know that Chris Nelson is interested in this, is waste management. Waste management is right next door to clean energy, and I think that the town, by virtue of hiring Catherine Bruns as a recycling coordinator, has shown a great interest in this, and so she could definitely speak to that. Probably is developing a plan. Hopefully these will dovetail together. And then, of course, we listed open space, forest management, of which there's just an amazing amount in West Hartford. I can say that as a guy who maybe a week ago ran into 3 coyotes as I was out walking one night. So we definitely have some forests around here. Okay. And Catherine, something that you added that I think is worth just flashing up for the commissioners and the public that have not had a chance to look at it is you basically took the 2009 plan and enumerated what all it is that we've done. And this is an appendix, and appendixes may be boring to look at, but I think this is inspiring to look at.
Oh, sorry.
That's not inspiring to look at. But, you know, when 2008, before this plan was the current in-force plan, not the one we just talked about, I don't know that we had energy benchmarking for buildings. We certainly do. We have a requirement for where buildings are built on public land or with public influence. We have a LEED Gold new construction standard. So I think when you look at the number of check marks that we have, we've done a lot. And so commissioners, both who are still on the commission as well as those that came before us, should take a victory lap. Commissioners, I don't know if I think Catherine sent this out on Friday. Have all of you had a chance to look at it? If you have, I would ask you to, we could have a vote if we as a commission are comfortable with this, subject to input from Matt Hart. But if you haven't had a chance to go through it, or you want to hold your vote, we can hold that off until December. Are folks comfortable basically endorsing this plan subject to Matt Hart's input?
I am, but I know I've had time to spend with it, and I don't know if everybody has.
Let me just while you guys are thinking, let me say that Catherine met with Max. Max, I think you devoted 2 full nights. Just judging from some of the emails that you sent out, you were up a little on the late side going through this, and some of the really nice features of this came out of that review of Max. So I want to thank you for that.
I'm just flipping. I don't know what everybody else wants to see.
Hey, Chris Nelson, I just saw your text that my volume is low. Is this any better?
A little bit better.
Okay. I apologize. I pushed all the buttons that I have to push, but if it's not, let me know.
Are you taking any comments from non-commissioners?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just on, where is it? On the resources for clean energy renewables. Could we just add in mybioheat.com?
Yeah. And speaking, by the way, is Stephen Sack. That's the speaker of. Yeah. Where would we, let's see, resources. Where would we put that? Clean energy.
Clean energy / renewables.
Yep.
Would that go in there?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's what is it? Yeah, mybioheat.com. And my other comment is the next steps section on the Beyond 2022. Adopt policy to promote zero energy or no fossil fuel use in new construction. You know, we don't know where this electricity is going and how long it's going to take to get a clean electricity here. You know, with the use of biodiesel, how would that fit into there with no fossil fuel use in construction of a boiler or burner that has the ability to, you know, use a heavy blend of biofuel or 100% biofuel in the future versus electric heat pumps when we're not quite sure when we're going to get to 100% clean electricity?
It wouldn't.
I mean, if that boiler uses biofuel, then it's not fossil fuel. The question is, will we be at a place where people are actually using the biofuels instead of the fossil fuels? If we're at that place, that's much better for sure. But right now, the electricity, while not fully renewable, is far cleaner than directly consuming fossil fuels.
I'll add to what Max said, and it is far outside the scope of this, but on the GC3, we're recommending that the state of Connecticut address the issues, Steve, that you're raising sort of head on, and develop an integrated plan that takes all practical technologies, low greenhouse gas technologies, and talk about the availability of electricity, which could be a limiting factor. I think that's one of your points. Talk about, Max's point is how clean at 20% bioheat is cleaner than 100% fossil fuel, but it's not entirely clean. And we have to sort of braid those thoughts together. So I think that this is a couple years off, and I think there's going to be a fair amount of work at the state level for us to, when we revisit this, to address the concerns that you put on the table.
All right, yeah, I mean, is there anything, all your eggs into one basket? It needs to be a little diversity into it.
No, and for people that maybe just who watch this or aren't familiar with these things, when you go all electric, and that means you bring your cars and your heat into the electric world and out of the natural gas and oil world, you encounter a problem called the winter peak, which means that it gets dark, so people have a lot more lights. Electric vehicles aren't as efficient, so they want more electricity. And of course, it's colder out, so you want more heat. And so you're going to have a big demand on the electric sector. And what something like Stephen is suggesting, biofuels is an alternative that allows us to get through that winter peak without generating a lot of extra greenhouse gas. So I think it's an important practical step. Maybe it's only a bridge, or maybe it's a forever thing. I don't think we're smart enough in 2020 to know what it is, but I certainly think it has to be part of the mix.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to get much higher than a 20% biodiesel, 50% and higher, very quickly with that, up to 100. But yeah, thank you.
No, well, no, thank you, Steve. And I'll just add one further thing. Currently, and Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when we take our waste oil in Connecticut and we process it, we actually generate more biofuel than we are using, so we end up shipping it to California, which is kind of an odd scenario. First of all, if California is, I think, more aggressive on the environmental front than we are, and so if it's good enough, this is probably foolish to say, but if it's good enough for them, it may be good enough for us. And also, don't we have a use for it here in Connecticut? I think it's
my only correction to you is we're not making excess product here, but California loves it so much they have enormous in-state credits for the biofuel, and so it pays them so much more money to even ship it out there on rail cars. They can make more money on it than using it here in Connecticut. So California has hugely adopted biodiesel. The state tax credits in California pay them almost $2 a gallon.
Wow.
For the biodiesel.
Any other comments from Christine or Hendry? Anybody else?
Looks great.
Are we comfortable saying that we give it a provisional stamp of approval for the from the Clean Energy Commission?
I'm fine with that.
I would approve it.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion then. And let me state, first of all, if you haven't had a chance to go through this, we're not arm twisting here. So we can put this off for one more month, but but we've done that so many months that if possible, I'd like to sign off this evening. So I'll make a motion that the Clean Energy Commission approve this based on input, subject to input from Matt Hart and maybe Todd Dumay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Joe.
And so Bernie, if they come back with substantial comments, will we reopen this next time? Is that kind of what we have planned?
Catherine, thank you. Yes, that's exactly. We have one more meeting on the calendar. It's I think it's maybe the 21st. Don't hold me to that. And my thought would be that if we get substantial comments, we could hopefully resolve it at that meeting. So I'd like to get provisional sign off this evening, and then use that next meeting to maybe it'll be a short meeting, maybe it'll be a long meeting, but hopefully we could adopt whatever, we could take into account whatever feedback that they give us.
And hopefully they would also share what their anticipated path to town council adoption would be too, right?
Absolutely. And again, thank you for bringing that up, because I don't know what it means to get something of this size through the town council. They might have their own public I would expect, in fact, that they would have their own public comment period. So it's possible that even if the powers that be say we take all their feedback, and then once they put it out, there might be yet another open session on this. But if we can get through one wicket, that makes us in a better position to get through a couple other wickets. Okay, so I think it was Joe that seconded. Max, you're on board?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you very much, guys. And both commissioners and people who have contributed all along the way on this. Catherine, I think we're now down to much less philosophical business. Assuming that we all survive into 2021, that's actually one of my goals anyway, to not die in the next couple months before I get a shot. We should look ahead to the 2021 meeting dates. And actually, let me pause, if I can, pause on that front, and just, I guess, express my appreciation to the commission that despite COVID, we've managed to hold 6 meetings, and we've managed to move the energy plan ball pretty far down the field. We had a meeting on January 27th, February 24th. There was a long pause till June 22nd, July 22nd, August 26th, October 6th. And we're having a meeting tonight. So I think that's no small achievement given the difficulties of the time. You know, some people couldn't make a lot of those meetings, but we managed to have a quorum in each of those. So what Catherine has flashed up is that we are going, and Catherine, I think the Cindy Perini, I think she was the one, said Wednesday is better in terms of getting the public TV getting the WebEx infrastructure. So I think this is the 4th Wednesday in each month.
Yes.
And so far as I could see, we kind of miraculously, or maybe I just wasn't seeing it. It didn't seem to bump into any holidays, which is almost a miracle. So I'm very much inclined to go with this suggestion, unless people.
Bernie, just a question. I don't have the calendar open in front of me, but is November 24th next year the night before Thanksgiving? And if so, maybe we want to consider a week before, possibly.
Thank you, Chris. That would be pretty good. Yes, it is. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. I think it is.
On to that, December, you want to do the week before Christmas instead of the week of Christmas, potentially, too?
You guys are softies. You're sentimental softies. That's all.
I'm okay to go, but my wife's going to be pissed.
Do you want the 29th or the,
Let's go the week before if we can.
so what was that? The
15th.
15th, thank you.
That would be great. Okay. I'm gonna think. I don't know whether we need a motion on this, but I'm gonna send this into Cindy Perini as our selected dates. Hopefully, we don't intersect with the town council or the school board or various other.
They're usually on Tuesday. Yes, I think we do need a motion. I make a motion to approve this list of meeting dates for 2021.
I'll second.
Anyone opposed? I think the ayes have it. Thank you. It's worth noting, and you know, one of the things that makes all of the commissioners and actually anybody who's attending valuable is you're all busy people. There is a rule that if you miss 3 meetings, we can take you off the commission. We're really hoping to turn this into, I'm going to knock on Formica as I say these words, into an action-based commission. I was hoping to do that before this virus struck. I'm going to hope to do it in 2021. So if you can't make it, there's no harm in getting off the formal commission and just participating as a member of the public. Let me tell you also that I've talked to. Say again, Catherine?
Sorry.
Okay. I talked to Cindy Perini, and actually our whole commission is out of compliance in that we do not have a single Republican amongst us. We have a number of Democrats and a number of independents, but we do not have a single Republican. So I think we are in search of, I'll call it an environmentally focused or interested Republican. Council member Lee Gold, who I don't know, but is evidently in charge of trying to find such a member. So anybody, commission members or anybody else from the public, if you know a Republican who would be interested in joining the commission, we would like to have a Republican.
Hey, Bernie, 2 questions on that. Is there a certain number that, like, is it just 1, or do you need more than 1? And then the other question is, I mean, it's just changing a party line. Would that be unacceptable if someone just changed a party line?
I don't know the answer to your first question. The note I got from Cindy said we need a Republican. I don't know how literal she was in that note. And I think to a certain extent, there's a formalism to this, that if somebody wanted to change their party, that would be, I think would be acceptable, but I wouldn't ask that of anybody. If I could share with you sort of my thinking on this process, without kind of going down the political rabbit hole. If indeed there was somebody who had spent their life in the Republican Party with the virtues that I would have in the old days associated with that party, being conservative in the old-fashioned term of that word, which is to say slow to change, interested in tradition, also to take the word literally, conserve. So a conservative, someone who conserves. Somebody who typically also is thinking of smaller government rather than larger government. If there was such an animal out there, I think that would be, to me, a valuable form of diversity to bring onto this to bring onto this commission. I think we're all fairly stable individuals in our thinking. So I would be very interested in finding such a person if they exist.
Bernie, what is it? What do you mean by a Is it a registered Republican? Is it someone in political office?
Registered Republican.
Registered.
Okay.
They're looking for more of a balance on the committee. And I would say, Bernie, your definition's a little outdated, given what's happened in the last 4 years. But certainly that was what thought of, the Republican Party was thought of before.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. I guess I would argue against if we were to get somebody who came on the commission in today's definition of the Republican Party, which is they're against everything that we stand for. That would be a difficult sell. I just don't know how far the politicization that we see on CNN and Fox News has descended down to the local level. So I'm hopeful we'll find a thoughtful person. And
James, it would only lock you out of voting in a Democratic primary if you're a registered Democrat. If you're a Republican, if you just want to vote Republican, then they still have that voting restriction. So that's probably the only thing it'll do for you or against you is confine you to vote, for that particular party in a primary.
Yeah. I'm a registered Republican. I'm more than happy to go on there if you want me on there or you want somebody else. So I'll throw my hat in the ring there.
Stephen, I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'll refer your name to Lee Gold.
Okay.
And right now we don't, it's a full commission, i.e. we don't have a vacant spot. But I think, over this next year, as people think about what their schedules are, I think we'll probably see some spots open up.
If something opens up, great. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. We've operated, well, thank you for that comment. We've operated very informally, conversationally. As I watch the town council, as I watch some of the bigger entities where, you have specific rules of speaking. And I hope to do that in the future. If we have this many people, just not even a dozen people on a call, I think we can operate sort of conversationally. But by virtue of being a commission, there are rules that we have to follow. So I aim to follow them as best we can. I had a valuable perspective. Okay. So commission membership and new officers, we sort of talked about. There are rules for attendance. So if you miss too many meetings, we'll probably say, okay, you got a lot going on. Let's find somebody who has the availability. That's fine. I would like to continue to be chairman, at least for 1 year when we don't have a pandemic. Catherine, I think alternately you might like to step aside as the secretary? Catherine's still there? Catherine, you still on?
He's muted.
She's muted. Hey, WebEx Council.
Yeah, I'm happy to have another commission member step into an officer role. I think that'll allow me to play more of a staff support role. I'm happy to, help coordinate meetings and stuff like that. That's not on anyone, but, I mean, so does anyone have any interest in being the secretary and working with Bernie to develop the agendas and type up the minutes? We've sort of tried to go back to the old streamlined format of the agenda and the meeting minutes, in line with the town council and some other commissions who don't put as much detail in them. So hopefully it shouldn't be a big endeavor. It's once a month.
While you guys contemplate, I'll just say that there is a school of political science that says he or she that sets the agenda actually is the most powerful person in the room. So. Well, I'll tell you what, Catherine, I think we've noted that, well, first of all, thank you for what you've been doing. Not only have you been great at minutes and setting up the meeting, I think you've adopted to a whole bunch of different protocols, both COVID related and I think the town of West Hartford getting serious about paying attention to us. We note that you would like to step out of that role and just be staff, and I'll say just, and be staff support. And I'll follow up with the individual commissioners sort of after the meeting and see if I can't persuade what a glorious position this would be to take. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm happy to continue till we find someone, but I I've been either the co-chair or the secretary for 11 years now. 10 since we started. Yeah.
In a while. One quick note, during that decade, there have been many Catherine Deviney imitations set up throughout our other towns. So a lot of people have contacted Catherine to say, what is this energy specialist role? And so the city of Hartford has Hubert Combly, who is at least partially predicated on your role. The town of Brantford now has a person who's predicated on your role, and others around the state. So in a decade, you've spawned a lot of imitation, which is okay. Kind of a fun topic, Catherine. You received input from a lady that lives in West Hartford but works in Bloomfield. Do you want to talk about what this is?
Sure. This was a project idea that came into me, but I'm going to turn it over to you guys, the commission, in conjunction with the newly revamped Commission on the Arts that West Hartford. They've only had 2 meetings so far, and at their last meeting, I attended in the evening and spoke to them and briefed them on the Sustainable Connecticut program, and that there was a whole action category around the arts that seems to dovetail nicely with some of the projects that they have going on. But this particular thing about public art and EV chargers, Stephanie Bahranian, I think. I don't know how you exactly pronounce her last name. Anyway, she is a West Hartford resident, but she is also Bloomfield's town manager, town environmental planner. Sorry, not town manager. She runs their Sustainable Connecticut program. And she had this wonderful idea about painting, about combining public art and messaging around EV charging stations by painting the parking spaces. So she's talked to me about it. She's made some preliminary investigations on the art side. I made some preliminary investigations with our town planner, Todd DeMay, who says there's no restrictions since most of those parking spaces are on town private property. It's really just up to the property managers of the municipal parking lots and or the school lots to approve what the artwork would look like. So I've connected Bernie as the chairman of this commission and Chuck Corsi, who is the chairman of the newly formed Arts Commission. And I think it's a great project that I hope you guys are interested in, and maybe the two commissions can work together to make this happen.
Yeah, so I know it's kind of a new idea out there, but there's several things that are great about it. First, I forget which side of the brain is the analytic brain, but I'm going to guess that most of the people on this commission are the analytic side of things. And as human beings, we do have both sides of that brain. And the idea of bringing the analytic side of the brain to the artistic side and sort of integrating them is really appealing to me. So I think that's a cool thing. The idea of working with a neighboring town, I think is attractive to me. And honestly, anything that can take clean energy out of the nerd category and into the cool category. I'm not sure this can do that, but I sounds like it's worth a try. I'm interested in. So I'm intrigued by this. I'll just say that. And we can share the documents that they sent around.
So I don't know, Bernie, if we're being formal tonight, do we need to adopt this as a project? Are people excited about it? Is someone amped up to work on this? And I forgot to mention Stephanie's idea about the messaging, with EV chargers. She somehow wanted to include the artwork, but also the messaging, once you've charged up, like move on.
That's awesome.
So we haven't figured that out yet. Obviously there'll be some iterations and sign off on what the artwork will actually and the messaging would actually be. So that's up to you guys to work on.
Is there any sort of rush to this, or would it make sense to get some more information and maybe some pictures of what we're talking about and then talk about it at the next meeting?
Yeah, I think we just wanted to bring this up so that I could let Stephanie know that the commission was excited to work on it. Yeah, a yay or a nay, and then coordinate from there.
Max,
Or not excited, interested in exploring more, I think is the idea.
I think it's an interesting idea. It would be neat to hear more details and see what it would look like and what it would cost and whose arms we'd have to twist, and is the juice worth the squeeze, as they say.
there you go.
Yes, preliminarily, she doesn't envision much cost. She's trying to look at students to volunteer time. there is always the Sustainable Connecticut Match Fund program, which could raise funds should we need it. But she's thinking it wouldn't be more than, it might just be the cost of paint. But again, it's her project idea. So I think maybe I make a motion that the commission is on board to work with Stephanie and explore this project idea.
Okay.
Second.
Anyone opposed?
Okay.
I think we're good. We'll hopefully maybe get it on the December agenda.
Yes, and she is also talking again with the Arts Commission, so we'll figure out whether it's going to be a three-way initiative or just us and Stephanie, whether they want a part of it too.
Great. Public reports, Catherine, we're just thinking of anything that people have.
Yeah, well, I was going to step in here and just give a couple of reporting items from the town side. One of them is kind of like the last item we just discussed. I just wanted to let you guys know that Hall High School approached us about, and I talked to them about potentially doing a Sustainable Connecticut Match Fund project to get an EV charging station at Hall High School. So I don't know where that will go, but I'm talking with the environmental student committee faculty liaison there, and one of the assistant principals there actually called me with the project idea. So they might pursue that through Sustainable Connecticut Match Fund. The other thing I wanted to update you guys on, and I think next meeting I'll try and bring some graphs and stuff. I realized, in light of our energy plan that we've said we'd do a better job reporting, and probably every month I should update you guys on how the town is doing in terms of municipal operations and energy use. So I'll bring some graphics next time. I didn't have time to pull it together today because I wasn't working today, but just to let you know, our energy use is down, and it's still down, which we were a little worried about. So I'll bring some charts, but I think we are still seeing savings despite COVID and having to run the ventilation schedules a lot longer. I mean, we run our buildings 20 hours a day now. They're really only shut down a few hours a day. Maybe it's not quite that long, but it is at least 18 or 20 hours a day in some schools because they need to be on before the occupants get there and on after the last occupant leaves. So, but we are still showing savings. I think that's a combination of different things. A lot of the school buildings, well, some of our buildings on the town side are still closed. As far as a lot of the schools goes, there's no after hours activities. There's still reduced occupancy. And we did do a lot of energy efficiency projects going into the pandemic, and we never really saw the savings results of those projects flow through for an entire year. So some of that effect is still in there. Like I said, we've done a tremendous amount on the ventilation, and we are running our buildings much longer, and we have exhaust fans going 24/7 and things like that to keep the buildings ventilated. This is all according to state guidelines. But in the course of that project, we actually ended up doing a ton of HVAC maintenance and operational things, fixing things, cleaning filters, and doing a lot of that deferred maintenance work that had never gotten done for many years. So I think there was some balance there with the longer run times, but also some of our systems might be performing better than they had been in the past. So that's good news. The other thing I'll show you with you next time, the one area that I'm starting to get very concerned about is our water use. So we'll look at that next time, but there is, this year especially, it was very dry. We've been, there's a lot of water going on, use in terms of irrigation, and the cost of water has skyrocketed tremendously. So whereas you'll see cost decreases in a lot of the other utilities, electricity and natural gas, our cost for water and sewer has gone up and up and up ever since I arrived in West Hartford. So that's just a little bit snippet there, and we'll try and bring some graphics next time. Another nice follow-up to the ventilation work that we've done is we've identified a few larger efficiency projects, maybe some buildings that aren't performing as well as they could or have some issues in the way they're operating. So we're going to be doing some follow-up commissioning work, I think at Bristow Middle School and Charter Oak, two of our newer, more complicated buildings to operate. So that's good news as well. So we might even see some additional savings there. And the other thing that I've been working on recently, King Philip Solar, which is a 527 kW system, should be energized momentarily if it's not already. I wasn't able to get a hold of the guy today. I think it might already be flipped on. If not, it'll be within the week. And then the other thing that I've been working on is we are likely going to be enrolling 4 facilities, our 2 high schools and Sedgwick Middle School, as well as the ice rink, which I think is pretty cool, into the demand response program with NL, who is one of Eversource's approved contractors for this program. The demand response programs, if you guys know, this is where ISO, there are 2 different programs, one under Eversource and one under ISO New England, and they pay large customers to curtail energy use at certain peak times during the day in both the winter and the summer seasons. And the programs have changed over the years. They used to give, there are some programs now where they give you day ahead notice. There are other programs where they give you just a couple of hours notice. You can also participate just in winter or just in summer or both. So we're going to work out the details there. A side benefit of these programs is that the buildings will be real-time monitored, so we will have access to instantaneous energy use and demand data on these 4 facilities, which is another thing that we've been looking at doing for a while. And this is real time. Some of the interval data programs that you have access through the utilities are not, in fact, real time. They're a day lag, but this will be instantaneous data, so that's nice. I think that's it for me.
Catherine, a couple points. Way back, I think when I first joined, the little catchphrase was the municipal sector would lead by example. And I think the municipal sector has done, using West Hartford as an example and some of our other towns around us, has done a lot. And one of the roles this commission can play is to share what you have done with, businesses in our community, and I think help them be more sustainable businesses, save them money, save us energy. So I think that's a great list. I'm really pleased to hear about the demand response. I didn't know that was going on, so I think that's great. I have a couple reports, very quick, not as big as the stuff that Catherine outlaid, but you might remember we signed a letter of support to go to the governor and Deputy Commissioner Hackett, really requesting that energy task forces, sustainability commissions be recognized that we get refunded so that they reinstate the Bright Ideas grant. Anyway, we were one of the first signatories on that. They're now up to 50 signatures on that particular document. So it's become a little bit of a movement. And just I know COVID sort of makes us forget all that we've done because the timelines seem so drawn out. But just to remind us of stuff that we have done as a commission. We were involved with the POCD earlier this year, Plan of Conservation and Development. We had input into that. Steve, you gave us an update on biofuels really at the beginning of the year. We wrote a letter to trying to get FinTech to talk to us about being more sustainable. Of course, I think they have since gone away. We also wrote to Fellowship Housing, to ask them to build to a rigorous passive house standard. I think that's still going on. I'll bet you just more slowly. We endorsed a bottle bill proposal. Didn't go anywhere, but we signed on in support. We have brokered or begun to engage with social services, Astrid Calderon. Catherine made a presentation to the Association of Energy Engineers back in February. We just recently sent the letter that we approved in our last meeting, talking about having the town council ask planning and zoning to revisit the very strict rules that they have on solar. And we also wrote a letter in support of high performance building standards. So I just rattled that off to remind you that even in this era of COVID and Zoom and WebEx, Catherine's been working away on the projects that she outlined, and we have actually done, we've at least signed on to things, and we moved the energy plan down the road. So it isn't like we're standing still. Any other reports?
Just wondering if there's any update, Catherine, for the Yukon site or, whether we've heard back at all from the housing in Bishop's Corner and how they're progressing.
I don't have any updates. I can check into it. I did read an article in the patch on the FinTech site. I think it's up for sale, isn't it?
Well, I thought that there were proposals that were actually being submitted to the town.
I don't know.
That was last week, actually. There's a deadline. I mean, the article that I read talked about a deadline for development proposals that were being submitted to the town. As far as yeah.
I can find out, and I will report on that from Todd. Those don't come across my desk very early, so I will find out from Todd, and I will report next time.
And no word on the housing from Bishop's Corner. You think they've just kind of stopped their process, or are they still designing? Or
I don't know. Again, I'll have to check with Todd. They haven't talked to me, but I wouldn't expect that. If they're moving anything, it would be through planning and zoning.
Right. I mean, we offered assistance, but we haven't heard back from them. That's what you're saying.
Right. I think it's still alive, Joe. I don't think it's. I don't think it's dead. I just think it's. You probably know better than most of us, but I think building projects are slow. The supply lines for lumber and equipment of all sorts is slow. COVID slows everything down. So, but I think.
So, the last time I heard anything about Fellowship Housing, I was down at the Capitol, and I ran into one of the ladies who was working with the architecture firm, who did tell me they were designing to passive house standards, but this was ages ago, so I don't know whether it's stalled out or not. I know after our letter, we did have several follow-up conversations, and their project team was very well versed in all the Eversource incentives that were available. So there wasn't really much more assistance we could provide on that front. So I think they assembled a good project team, and I can just find out where they are in the process.
Okay. Public comment. We have a small public here. Stephen, Christine, Andre, if you're still on. I don't know if he's still on or not. He is. Anybody, any other comments?
Bernie, this is Chris Feely. I have not had a chance to look very much at the new plan, but I saw some things I liked, including the focus on the 20 to 22. So that thank you for continuing to work on that.
Well, thank you for continuing to review it. You'll see the we have a few typographical enhancements, like little icons that I'm embarrassed to tell you how excited I get when I see something like that. I think, Catherine, you received a letter from a woman who's pretty interested in the EEJ component, so we've bolstered that a little bit. So actually, Chris, if you haven't looked at it in a while, it's great that you are looking at it now, because you might be able to see the differences. I think for most of us, we've looked at it so often that we can't even see it anymore. Okay.
So is Henry gone? I can't. I don't have my thing.
I think Henry has logged off.
Okay.
I can no longer.
So one thing I will just mention is that Henry has been talking to the students. What is the organization Henry's with? Bernie, do you remember?
I don't remember. I could probably find out. Go ahead and keep talking. See if I can.
Okay. So he's worked with a group who was instrumental in working with several towns to adopt a climate emergency or climate crisis resolution. And they've been meeting and talking about whether West Hartford would go down that path as well. So I briefed him on our foray down that path last October when we invited Sherry to our meeting and discussed whether we needed to use the words climate emergency or climate crisis in a resolution. And then we've been working on the energy plan, and we discussed with Sherry that any resolution she would want to follow with a plan and some actions. So we've been working on the on the plan, and now that that is done, we'll have to introduce that with some kind of resolution. So we can revisit this idea. Anyway, just to let you know also that Henry has been talking to some of the students who were involved in the plastic bag ban. They've kind of joined the group. The group is a mix of adults and youth. So not only would he might be a good avenue to get some youth representation on the council, on our commission, but also some of these students are very interested in continuing to pursue the emergency or crisis approach to the resolution. So I just wanted to brief you guys on what was going on behind the scenes. And at some point, I think, you know, the two groups might talk or work something out. I don't know how it'll play out, but I just wanted to let you know what was going on the side.
Catherine, I looked at the email from Henry. He's part of the Citizens Climate Lobby. I think that's the group. And I know Simsbury, which is the town that you reside in, I think is entertaining the idea of a climate emergency. I think New Haven has declared one. I think Middletown has declared one.
New Britain has declared one. New Britain was the first.
So towns are doing this. I feel, I guess I would say, I think it's important to have this plan in place. And the question I would ask, but I don't want to forestall discussion of this. But if we declare emergency, what are we going to do differently once we've declared it than what we're doing now? That's my only hesitancy with that. Is it going to make us do anything that we're not already doing? But there are certainly a lot of people who feel that it is an emergency. So, Catherine, are you proposing should we revisit this?
I would propose that you wait till, I would assume that the Citizens Climate Action Lobby or whatever would get in touch with with West Hartford leadership in some form, or would be directed to the commission in some form.
Great. Very good. Okay, guys. It's 8:34. If there's no further comment, I propose that we adjourn.
Second. Aye. Thanks, Bernie.
Hi.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.
Great work bringing this energy plan to the end, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's hope we're near the end here, guys. Thank you very much.